Hey guys, kids, it's Chad. I know normally you see Mike or Miss Allie, okay? I am outside in my backyard by a tree. Now, creativity is the word of the month, okay? Creativity is like you create stuff. Okay, God made you in His image. So, because God made you in His image, you are wonderfully created. So you can create anything you possibly want, okay? Just because you, yeah?
Good morning, Grace kids, or afternoon, or happy Tuesday, or happy Friday. I don't know, whenever you're watching this. Thanks, Chad, for that video intro that you did for us, reminding us that we're made in God's image. That is very, very true. Good to remember and to hear again and again and again, isn't it? We're talking this month, in the month of August, about creativity. For me, I am being creative right now with where I am recording and what I am using to record. Normally what I use and where I record, it's just not working today. So here we are in a different location with a different device. So we get to be creative. Did you guys see the sunset last Thursday? Did you see it? Did you go outside? Were you anywhere where you could see God's sunset that He made? It was incredible. So incredible. The colors, it covered the sky. The colors of it were just, I can't even describe them to you. They were like oranges and yellows and reds and pinks and even purpley, all like in there. And there was clouds, the way the clouds kind of rippled across. It was so cool. One thing that we're learning this month when we're talking about creativity is that God's creativity is limitless, which means that God is not just creative in His sunsets. He's not just creative at the ocean, or He's not just creative on Tuesdays or in the month of October. God's creativity is limitless. And sometimes we look at the things that God makes and you go, why? What's the point of that? Or why did God create that to do this? And we get to ask those questions. Our bottom line this month or this week is this: God created us for a purpose. So everything that God creates has a purpose. One thing to remember too is that God created us on purpose. We're not a mistake. We're not an accident. So we're created on purpose and we're created for a purpose. So I have another picture for you. I'm going to show you, it's coming up right now. It's a picture of a dog. You see him sitting there. He's just in the grass. His mouth's open so you can see his tongue and his eyes, etc. Just all laying right there. Did you know that dogs have loose skin? Did you know that? Why would dogs have loose skin? Like if you're looking right now, you glance down at your arms or your legs, your skin is not loose on your body, but dogs have loose skin. So here's another question. As you're looking at this dog, have you ever seen a wet dog? Have you ever seen a wet dog? And why do you think that the dog's loose skin might be helpful for a wet dog? Here's a picture now of a wet dog, okay, in case you need a visual. So here's a picture of a wet dog. And here's an interesting creative fact about God and dogs and loose skin. Did you know that a wet dog can shake off 70% of the water from its fur in only 4 seconds? Because the loose skin moves so fast. What? God created dogs. God created dogs with loose skin. God created dogs for a purpose, and part of the purpose of their loose skin is that they can shake 70% of the water off of their bodies in just 4 seconds. Here's another picture for you, butterflies. This picture, the butterfly is just in the sky, flying, right? Did you know that butterflies have feet? As you're looking at this picture of the butterfly flying. But here's something creative. They don't use their feet for walking like we do. Do you have any idea what they would use their feet for? If they don't use their feet for walking, as you're looking at this picture, what do they use their feet for? So here you go. Next picture shows the picture of the butterfly on a flower. So you've got the green behind it and I don't know, kind of like a reddish pinkish flower there that we're looking at. Butterflies have feet so they can taste their food. Their feet have special sensors that allow them to taste anything that they land on. What? Really? Dogs have loose skin. They can shake the water off. Butterflies have feet, but they don't use their feet for walking. They use their feet with special sensors to taste their food. Just a couple more examples of how limitless and indescribable really God's creativity is. So, oh, I forgot to tell you what was coming up in this video. I just got excited about talking about creativity. So we talked about a little bit more about dogs and butterflies and God's creativity. Next up, we're going to hear Mr. Mike has our story today. So we're going to hear our story. And what's really, really neat timing on our story is we're talking about Esther today. And that is exactly what we're talking about at church out on the back grass. So kind of bonus there, we get to talk about Esther today. And then after Mr. Mike's story is we're going to replay Miss Jordan's video that talks about our verse. Our verse this month is from the book of Psalms and just reminding us of how great and amazing God is and going along with creativity. So we're going to replay Miss Jordan's video with the hand motions, and we want to be learning that and memorizing it and hiding it in our heart and our mind to remember, just as a reminder of how creative and good and incredible our God is. So Mr. Mike has the story, and then we're going to move to Miss Jordan's video, and we will talk to you guys later.
Hey Grace kids, this is Mike. Has an adult ever asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Isn't that kind of a funny question, since none of us really knows what's going to happen to us when we grow up? I mean, we don't know how God is going to use us, but God can use each and every one of us in a very big way, just like he used Esther. Now, Esther was a Jewish girl whose family was captured and taken to Babylon, and then Babylon was taken over by Persia. Sometime during this, Esther's parents die, and she ended up being raised by her cousin Mordecai. Now, Mordecai was a guard working for the king, and the king of Persia was incredibly powerful. So powerful that when his wife, the queen, refused to attend a wild party, he had her fired. Got rid of. Over the next year, they rounded up all the single women, and he determined which one of them would be his next queen. Esther became that queen. Now, at the same time Esther became queen, there was a man rising up in the king's service. His name was Haman. Haman became the second in command under the king. Now, Haman declared that everyone should bow to him. Now, Esther's cousin Mordecai refused to bow to Haman because he only bowed to God, not man. When Haman heard about this, he was furious. He knew that Mordecai was Jewish. So not only was he going to punish Mordecai, he was going to punish all the Jewish people. So he convinced the king that the Jewish people were not serving the king. They were not obeying his rules. And so he asked the king to create an edict that said all the Jewish people would be destroyed, be killed. The king said, okay, this sounds good. Make it happen. Well, Mordecai found out about this. He sent a note to Queen Esther in the palace and said, Esther, you have to talk to the king and stop this, or he's going to destroy all of our people. Now, Esther was afraid because the king was incredibly powerful, so powerful that you couldn't approach the king to speak to him unless he spoke to you first. And she knew that. And she knew by taking this message to the king and asking for his help that she was risking her own life. But she also knew it was something she had to do. So she approached the king, and instead of having her killed, he was very happy that she approached. And he offered her anything she wanted, up to half of his kingdom. And she wasn't ready to tell him what she needed yet, so she invited him to dinner along with Haman. So they came to dinner the next night, and there was this great feast. And the king kept asking, so what is it? What request can I grant? She still wasn't ready to reveal what she needed. So she said, come back tomorrow and I'll tell you. So they came back a second night for a second feast. And during that feast, she told the king that there was an evil edict that was going to destroy all of her people and even kill her. The king was furious. He wanted to know who did this? Who set this up? And she told him it was Haman. Haman was killed that night. And the king made a new order that would save the Jewish people. So see, God had a plan for Esther. When she was growing up, she didn't know what that plan was. She had no idea that she would ever be queen. But there she was, with the ability and the opportunity to save her people, because that's where God placed her, because that's where God wanted her. Our bottom line, God created each of us for a purpose. I, for one, can't wait to see what he's got planned. Now you might wonder exactly what your purpose is. Sometimes it's something big and exciting that God does through you over lots and lots of years. Or sometimes it's just day-to-day things. Either way, as you choose the gifts that God's given you, a lot of times you'll find it could be both. Thank you for listening to this week's story. Now hang tight, because Jordan's got our memory verse. Take it away, Jordan.
Hi Grace Kids, I'm going to be teaching you guys the verse for the month of August, and I'm going to be using hand motions to help us remember. It comes from Psalms 145:3. Alright, so it's Lord, you are great. You are really worthy of our praise. No one can completely understand how great you are. Psalms 145:3.